I'm going to just quickly go through really where Severn Sound is, what we are, what our history is. We respect our history a great deal. It's become a really unique style of organization, a very unique structure. So I'll talk a bit about our structure and then some of the things we've started doing with our municipalities on the road to climate readiness, as I like to call it. We have a strong history of partnerships, so just a few of the groups we've worked with or partnered with over the years. We do not have a conservation authority in our watershed. We are bordered by 2 conservation authorities who we partner with. The way a remedial action plan process works is ground up. So the province and the federal government do the designating based on the research that says here's the water quality problem. If the community says we don't care if we can fish it, eat the fish out of it, drink the water, swim in it, we don't care anything to do with it, there is no organization to clean it up. You go away and they deal with the other areas of concern. So the community was involved in that. So how do you want to deal with this? What are the issues? The other great thing about that is there's no finger pointing. Everybody's part of the problem. Everybody's part of the solution. So nobody gets to blame each other. It's the sewage plants, it's the ag, it's private lawns, it's everybody has to be part of that process. So in 2003, we delisted. So at the time, the only other area to delist was Collingwood Harbour. So this was huge. This was big news, great community news. The International Joint Commission requires that you monitor and maintain that commitment to stewardship and monitoring activities. So one of the things that's required is a sustainability plan in your delisting process. So as that was happening, our 8 municipalities that I had shown you on that earlier map, our watershed municipalities, decided that they were all in. They were going to show some leadership in this process. And they decided to create their own organization. So looking at structure at the time, what they had available to them as municipalities was a joint municipal services board. So I'm going to speak a little bit about what those look like. So we are certainly not anti-conservation authority. We love the fact that we have 2 neighboring conservation authorities that do awesome work and will loan us what they do. So I'm going to speak a bit about that collaboration as well and the value in making sure you're working with your neighboring organizations. So I just want to touch then on what are we doing? So what are the initiatives and activities that we're sort of heading down the road in? The more I think about the work that a lot of us do, a lot of folks in this room probably have done throughout your careers, a lot of what you're doing is already really the thoughts around adaptation to climate change. We just maybe didn't know that's what we were doing at the time. You're trying to help a river deal with the fact that it's got erosion problems or a landscape that has erosion problems. So environmental monitoring, expert data collection and analysis. Like I mentioned, we're one of the few areas in the country that has a data set that goes back continuously to the 1970s. Citizen science, we've gotten more and more involved in citizen science, engaging our public and our residents. Shoreline cleanups, we do some of the big shoreline cleanup work as well. Invertebrate and algae monitoring, like I mentioned, algae again is becoming a bigger issue. We're not really sure why, but we're seeing more blooms, and it's late in the season to be seeing blooms, especially when they're usually related to warm water, heat, and light. So climate change, maybe. All of these things to me are either monitoring or implementing some pieces around how we're adapting to changes in climate. And over time, I just think when I first started working with agriculture in the 90s, we didn't ever think of it as adapting to climate change. We thought of it as adapting to what's happening this week or this year or where my erosion problems are. Under sound science, what became really clear was the need to build resilience for our communities as something that we haven't named and targeted hadn't at that point. So climate change, adaptation, and planning. It's 8 municipalities working together for some shared common goals. And it's a pretty powerful thing when you can get them all together in a room and they're driving forward. So thank you.